Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Struggle and Strength, Mom's Balancing It All with Nikki. This week, I want to share something really personal, something that felt like a full circle moment in my life. This past weekend, I went back to my alma mater, Purdue University, boiler up for homecoming. And I took my family. The crazy part here is that I haven't been back to Purdue since 2009. In 2006, when I drove away down to Texas, I was crying and I told myself, you know what? I'm never going to go back. I never want to be in Indiana. I don't want to see Purdue. I just don't. And it wasn't because I didn't love Purdue. Honestly, I had some of the best years of my life there. But when I left, it ended badly, emotionally, mentally, and I just wanted to forget it all. So I did what I did best. I buried it. I suppressed the memories. I moved on and I told myself that that part of my life was over. And for years, it worked. I built my career, my family, my businesses, and Purdue just became this old chapter that I never reopened. And it's sad. It's so sad because I spent 6 years of my life there. I had such an amazing experience. But of course, there was lots of heartbreak, lots of questioning who I really was and what I was really doing with my life. And at the end of it, I just, I really was kind of done. I was done not feeling like I fit in. In the pharmacy program, I went to school for 6 years. Well, most of my friends all graduated in four. So the last 2 years, I was kind of by myself. And because most of my friends weren't really in the pharmacy school, I felt alone. And even though they were so welcoming and so sweet, and I even ran into one of my old study buddies at homecoming, and he totally recognized who I was. I felt so awful. I called him by the wrong name. One, because it just popped in my head. He looks like somebody that I had interviewed with for a position and that I know from the pharmacy world. Two, once he said his name, I was like, "Oh my gosh." I knew that. It was just a crazy day, It's like up early morning, we traveled, drove there, racing to get to all the activities and have fun, show the kids everything, try and bring back all those memories. But that made me feel so amazing when he called me by name in this huge crowd of people. And I thought, holy cow, someone actually recognizes who I am. I never thought that in a million years would even happen. Because as I mentioned, I just felt like I was a nobody. I felt like I really didn't fit in. We had a class of 150 pharmacy students and we all went through the program together. We all studied together and all that. But afterwards, I haven't kept in contact with anyone in 20 years. That's a long time. And for someone to remember you like it was yesterday, it made my heart melt. I just, oh my goodness. I felt something I haven't felt in a really long time. It felt like home. Wow. Emotions. Woo. It was really tough. When I left Purdue, I was in a relationship and it went very south. And it was somebody that I thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And that was rough. It was really rough. Um the way that we separated was really rough. I was out doing a rotation at the FDA in Washington D.C. and we were living together and he just moved out. So I never got that closure. I never got to say goodbye. It just happened over the phone and that was it. 3 years of a relationship that I thought was going to be forever and it just disappeared. So it really hurt a lot. I know mamas, I'm sure you've been through that where, you had heartbreaks growing up, and thank goodness I met my husband, and, we've had our rough times, but we have 3 beautiful children, and we've been together for, gosh, what, I can't even remember. We're married for 15 years, together for 17 years. So, things turn out the way they're supposed to, but when you're young and in college and they always say that college is the best years of your life. You're supposed to meet like your best friends and the love of your life and, start growing your future. And so it was really rough for me. And now I find myself going back to Purdue and reconnecting with the pharmacy school. And I've been honored to be part of the Pharmacy Dean's Advisory Council, and then recently invited to speak at their Leadership and Innovation Forum in the spring and mentoring pharmacy students, trying to help them discover, life outside of the 4 walls of the pharmacy, being entrepreneurs or, feeling that what that feeling of wanting more is. And so it's really brought forth like a new light in my eyes because I never like I said, after I left Purdue, I thought, I don't want to come back. And now I want my kids to go there. It's like it has all the schools that they want to go to. One of them wants to be a vet. The other one wants to be an engineer. And my daughter, she thought she wanted to be an eye doctor, but not so much anymore. I think she's really amazing, with her Girl Scout cookie sales. She's so awesome at business. Like, she understands the purpose of marketing and sales and business. And she's got all kinds of sorts of ideas. And I really think she would be a great businesswoman. But it's just wild lately, that life has a way of bringing me back to the very place that I swear I would never return to. Same thing happened with me in Rochester. Recently I went to my 25-year high school reunion, and I swore I would never go back to Rochester. It's like one of those things where you say never, right? Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. I'm yawning on my podcast. It's been a whirlwind of travel. This morning we were supposed to fly back, and the flight is only like an hour and 40 some odd minutes. But Dallas Fort Worth was having this really like cloudy, dense, foggy day. And so when we got here, we couldn't land. So then we had to travel to Houston and take like a 3-hour detour and then come back. And holy moly, I've been up since 3 o'clock Texas time. And it's now really late because I've been trying to catch up on all the work that I missed. And, I think that's the funny thing in life is you never know what's going to happen. That's why you never, ever, ever want to burn any bridges. You never want to say never, right? Because with my business of helping pharmacist moms build side hustles for extra income and freedom, I found myself reconnecting with Indiana, with Purdue, I it's so funny how those things, and it's like God just kind of said to me, you're not done with this chapter yet. But this time you'll walk back through it as the woman you've become, not the girl who left. And that's the thing. I am so different now, even though my classmates said that I haven't changed a bit. That's probably very true in most ways, but even like a year ago when I started this podcast, I'm on episode 44 now. I only have 8 more episodes until I've gone a full entire year of my podcast. So that's an amazing accomplishment. And I would have never in a million years thought that I would be doing a podcast, especially for a whole entire year. I've been doing my pajama talks, although I haven't done one in like a whole entire month. That's really bad. Oh my goodness. I can't stop yawning. I'm so sorry. If you're watching this and you're sleepy, I'm probably making you yawn, and that's not a good thing. But, going to homecoming was so much fun with my kids. I don't know if you go back to your own school or not, but my kids are at the age where they are really interested in learning about mine and my husband's past, where we grew up, what school did we go to? I mean, my youngest has been asking me all kinds of questions. Mommy, what kind of music did you listen to? What was your favorite candy? What's your favorite color? Like all these things they want to know when I was a kid, and I love that. A lot of it I've blocked out, so it's hard. It's just like Purdue. It's like it's hard. I have to really pull back the curtain and remember my those amazing memories that I suppressed for so long. And the reason why I suppress my feelings is because I always felt like I wasn't good enough. I was never enough. I had very loving parents. However, my mother was very hard, still is. It's very, very, very hard to please my mother. Nothing is ever good enough. If I came home and I had like a 94 in a class, she'd be like, why didn't you get 100? It's like if I did amazing at soccer, she'd be screaming on the sidelines, like, oh, Nikki, and it's like, okay, that hurts. It really hurts when you're trying really hard. And I've been doing that to my kids too. And I have to really catch myself. That's why I'm really trying to be more positive and encouraging and not so negative and pointing out their flaws because they're feeling that way too. And I don't want them to feel like they are not enough because it's the worst feeling ever. I felt not valued. I felt like I was a nobody. I felt like, if I just died tomorrow, no one would even care. Not that I wanted to. That's not what I was thinking, but it was just like, do I even matter in this world? I just don't feel like I even have a place. I was always friends with everybody and not really having like a true best friend. I loved my roommate. However, she how do I say this? When she came to Purdue, she had a boyfriend and they broke up. And then right after that, she got another boyfriend. And then she spent every waking moment with the boyfriend, which I totally understand. They're married, they have beautiful children. They've been married for 20 some odd years because she met him in 2000. But at the same time, it's like we had so much fun when we were together. Like I remember watching the very, very first episode of American Idol. That's how old I am. And we had so much fun when people would come up. We lived in the Hilltop Apartments at Purdue, and there's like this Y where you come up, and in our where our window was, it faced everybody that was coming up the hill to go to all their apartments. And so one fun morning, my roommate was coming home, and so I flashed her, and she thought it was the funniest thing. And so we just started doing that to everybody that was walking up the hill almost every day. It was so much fun. Now you know that I'm really crazy. But it was just so much fun when we were together. And then every night she would go to her boyfriend's house and spend the night, or every waking moment she was on the phone with him, or it was all about him. And I really, really, really wanted that roommate best friend. And we spent 2 years together, but that was as much as I could handle because I literally lived by myself pretty much the whole time because she was gone. And that moment when she was there, I cherished every minute of it, but it was very rare. And she hardly ever came out with me. So then, I played soccer at Purdue. So I hung out with the soccer girls, but then I went and I got a job. So it's like I had friends, and I had friends from Rochester that I went to their fraternities and we partied all the time. But I didn't have like my best friends. And so that was really hard. I think that was kind of the hard part of why I swore I didn't want to go back is was A, I had like major heartbreak. B, I had, I didn't really have like the best friends. And then I had a really good guy friend. And that relationship went south too because of my romantic relationship. I mean, there was just so much drama that happened and I was over it. I grew up with brothers, and so we didn't really have a whole lot of drama, and I wasn't used to the girl drama, and I can't take drama. And so I think all of that just burned me out, and I wasn't feeling the energy. But going back to Purdue, walking through the campus, seeing the old buildings, hearing the band, going to the football game, feeling that energy, it was like being 20 again, but with 20 years of wisdom. Like I felt like I was going to classes there just yesterday. And it made me feel youthful. It made me feel alive again. I didn't realize how much I really missed it or how much healing I still needed from it. For so long, I thought forgetting meant moving on, but sometimes healing means going back, not to relive the past, but to reclaim it. And there was this one moment that completely caught me off guard. And that's when my classmate recognized me and was like, Nikki. Of course, I turned around and I'm like, Josh. And he was like, no, it's Matt. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so terrible. Oh my gosh. But, you know, for years, I told myself I was the nobody at Purdue, that no one would remember me because I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Chicago and Texas and Rochester, and then went to Indiana, and then I went back to Texas, then moved to Arizona. It's like I was all over one of those people that like didn't have best friends in any of those places except for my very best friends from when I grew up, like when I was 4 years old. But we don't live together, right? We live totally opposite sides of the United States. And we don't see each other very often. But that moment reminded me that our presence leaves ripples, even when we think that we're invincible. And now I get to go back, not as a student, but as a speaker, not as someone trying to find her purpose, but as someone helping others find theirs. And it's so humbling, it's emotional, and it's proof that God can take the very place you ran from and use it as the stage for your redemption. My kids had so much fun at Purdue that they didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay. They were so excited about Purdue. And I'm so excited that I have this opportunity to help shape others. We're still a decade away from my kids going to college, but I really hope that one day that they will walk the same campus that shaped who I am today. So, Mama, maybe there's part of your story that you've closed off, a chapter that you've avoided revisiting because it still feels heavy or unfinished. And I get it. Maybe, just maybe, that chapter isn't over yet. Maybe God's waiting to bring you back to it, not to reopen old wounds, but to remind you how far you've come. Because sometimes the places that once broke you become the same places that remind you you were never broken. You were just being built. So until next time, keep showing up, keep healing, and remember, your story isn't over yet. It might just be coming full circle.